Hello everybody, welcome to Savage Ink Studios. I'm your host Ink, and today's Sketchbook Storytime is a couple of rescue stories. For those of you older subscribers who have been here since the beginning, you may remember that at one point I was running an exotic animal rescue, which I would like to get into, like, stories of all the different critters that we ended up with and some of the crazier stories there. But these rescue stories are just for the critters that I currently have now. Surprisingly, I have 5 pets. That's not the surprising part. I have 5 pets. I have 3 cats, a 9.5-foot albino red-tailed boa, and a military macaw. Surprisingly, the exotics that I have, their rescue stories are significantly less interesting than my cat's rescue stories, but I will tell them all, and I will try to keep it under 15 minutes for you guys. Alright, so we'll start from the beginning with the first. After my grandmother passed away, I inherited her cat. She had several cats, but her will, I guess, or however that worked out, wanted each of her pets to go to a different person. So I ended up with one of her cats, who was very obviously sad and lonely and needed a friend because it was used to being around other cats, and I worked an obscene amount of hours back at that point in time in my life. So I had been keeping an eye out for, cats that needed an adoption, through Craigslist or whatever. I was actually looking. So anyway, one day I'm going through Craigslist and I find a post that has no picture attached. It just says that there's a young cat who is 4 months old who has been in 4 homes already, and the person posting said that if they couldn't find a new person that they thought would definitely 100% keep him for the rest of his life, then she was just going to put him down because he had serious separation anxiety, and she just didn't think that it was right for him to keep getting passed along because his issues were pretty bad already. So I messaged her and told her a little bit about myself and why I was, looking for another cat, and, told her my policy on pets, which is that pets are family, and once you commit to an animal, it's forever, and you don't just give them away when it's no longer convenient. And this woman emailed me back and said that she had gotten about 100 emails about this cat, and every single one of them, the first thing that they had said was asking for a picture. And that of all of the emails, I was the only person who did not ask for a picture, and she said that in her mind that meant that if I wasn't just specifically looking for a kitten, that she believed that I would be the person who would keep him until he was old and gray. And that is true. That is my orange cat, and I still have him to this day. Unfortunately, the cat that I got from my grandmother was kidnapped by my mother's psycho boyfriend, and by the time that I was able to, go and find where he was, apparently he had jumped down off of a balcony onto a construction truck and was never seen again, which was absolutely heartbreaking. By my second cat, who is my little black cat. I'm trying to remember. It might have actually been that... Nope, that's the third one. So for my second cat, I believe I was actually looking also. Because at this point, my orange cat was all by himself. And did better with another cat. So I had my eyes, just open for, another potential rescue, someone who needed a home. And I found a Craigslist post, again, of someone who is clearly very angry, posting about how his wife's stupid friend had dropped off this stupid cat and was supposed to come and get it, but she never came to get it, and this stupid cat was pregnant, and the stupid cat had stupid kittens, and if he couldn't find homes for each and every one of them by the end of this certain time, they were all going in a gutter. And I was, rightly horrified by that statement. The post had said that they were 3 months old and that they were litter trained and food trained. So I'm just like, oh, okay, well, at least then I don't have to get anything like specialty necessarily. She can, eat the same food as my orange cat and all will be well and dandy, whatever. So I sent out an email and he said that there was one left that he was just going to throw outside because it was a black cat and nobody wanted a black cat. And I told this guy, do not throw her outside, please. I will come and get her right now. So I go, and this quote unquote 3-month-old cat is no larger than an egg roll. It actually looks like a little fuzzy black egg roll. Her eyes were not open. She still had that like spider silk feeling fur. I mean, I don't think that this cat was 3 days old, let alone 3 months. She couldn't stand on her own. Every time she tried to stand up on her little legs, she'd toddle over. Her eyes weren't open yet, and I was just horrified that this asshole was gonna throw her out on the street when she appeared to have been born within the last day or two. So, me just being, like, horrified, but of course, I took her home. And my orange cat's food was not gonna do, so I had to bottle feed her, which was interesting. Fortunately for me, I was actually living with Ivy at the time, and she wasn't working. She was supposed to be in school at that point, but that wasn't necessarily happening either. So when I was working, she would bottle feed her, and from there, we tried getting her onto regular food when it was the right time, and my orange cat taught her how to walk, which was the funniest thing, because my orange cat is like this sophisticated, sort of stuck up, over your nonsense type of cat that you could just imagine with a top hat and a monocle, and he's looking after this crazy flamboyant kitten who's just like jumping on his tail and falling all over herself and falling off the bed, and he just looks so indignant as he's dealing with all of her crap. It was really cute. It was really sweet. My little brother taught her how to purr, which is why she purrs like a broken lawnmower to this day. Unfortunately, formula for cats is not the same as formula for people in the way that it has all of the same nutrients that a young cat needs to grow properly. So, while we were formula feeding her, sometimes cats can develop something called pica if they're separated from their moms too early. Not having the nutrients that they need kind of stunts their growth. So it has been like 5 or 6 years, I guess. And she's still half the size of a full-grown cat and chases my shoelaces every time I try to put on my shoes and is very playful, and she's just a perpetual kitten. And I'm glad I found that ad, because no animal deserves to get thrown out on the street. And I'm glad that she's with me. For my third cat, I was actually working at a local pet store, and I remember my mom telling me, because I was already a little bit into rescuing, I guess, but my mom had asked, because I was living with her at this time, my mom had asked when I got this job, she's like, please don't just go in there and buy every single animal in the store and bring them home. And I told her, you don't have to worry about that. I only do rescues. I don't purchase. It's fine, and I will love them from my job there. So that was the agreement or whatever when I got into this job was just like, don't go nuts and like buy the whole store. So my goal going into there was that I was not going to purchase anything. If an opportunity came up to do like a small reptile rescue or something, that would be fine, but not to go crazy and spend all the money that I was making on more animals, which is fair. So I'd been working there, I want to say between 3 and 6 months. I'd done good. Hadn't bought a single animal. And I remember someone had wanted crickets, and I was going to the cricket stand to go and, service this person. And then eyeballs stopped me from the side. The side of this pet store had windows to cat adoption agency boxes, I guess. They rented the space from us, and they'd bring in cats from different shelters and put them in these little glass squares up against a window so that people could see them and then talk to them about adoption. It wasn't owned by that pet store, but it was just associated with the pet store, if that makes any sense. They rented the space out. So I'm on my way there, and these big golden eyeballs stop me in my tracks. And I turn, and it's just the saddest, sweetest, giant eyeball face that I've ever seen. And I stopped, and I looked at her, and she looked at me, and she put her pink little toe beans up against the glass, and I started crying. In the middle of work, like Niagara Falls is just like spouting out of my face and won't stop. And I'm like blubbering like a bish. And I ended up like calling over another one of my, pet care associates and asking them to take care of the crickets because I was just a mess. And I'm just like heartbroken by the look that this animal gave to me and those little pink toe beans on the glass. And at this point, I already had my black cat. I already had my orange cat. I had no intention of adding any more cats to the family because 2 was enough. And, that didn't happen. I looked at her little tag and where her name and her age and her personality should have been filled out on a little sticker. Instead, it was just a red label that said, "Warning medical issues." Which, additionally, for a second time, just tore my heart open, and my heart bled for this animal. What's the likelihood that this animal's going to get adopted when it doesn't say her name or how old she is or tell you anything about her other than the fact that she's sick? That's wrong. It shouldn't. I'm not saying that you should let people adopt animals that are sick without telling them, but don't let it be the only thing displayed, because who goes to a store thinking I want a sick animal that might die? Not many people, I think. So I knocked on their little door and I asked about her, and the worker told me that she had been there with the shelter since she was 4 months old, about. Very, very young. No, I'm getting that mixed up with my first. She was a kitten, is what they told me. They told me that she was a kitten when she got dropped off at the shelter, and that due to her medical issues, nobody had even ever fostered her. So she'd never been in a room bigger than the size of a bathroom. She just went from a cage at the shelter to the cage in the displays. Nobody would foster her. And she had some stomach issues where she threw up a lot. She had some skin condition issues where her hair falls out in clumps and she just reproduces fur at an atomic rate where, you go to work for 8 hours and you come home to the house that you just cleaned that morning and all of a sudden it looks like there's snow on the floor because she just shed an entire 3 coats of fur but then regrew it already. Yeah. So nobody wanted to deal with that. So she was basically like this big baby to the world. She was 4 years old. And I didn't have any money on me because I didn't bring money to work. That was part of how I made sure that I wasn't gonna, just buy every animal in the store. So I asked, can I pick her up tomorrow? They said, yeah, sure. So I come back the next day, and my big, white, golden-eyed beast is gone. And I knocked on the door and I'm like, hey, where's my cat? And they're a different person, wasn't the same person. I explained the situation, and she's like, oh, well, that's really unfortunate. Nobody left a note. I guess this cat, I don't see anything saying that it was adopted, which means it went back to the shelter, which was almost an hour away, apparently. So, me being the genius that I am in the desperate situation that I was in and not having a car, I called a cab, and I cabbed almost an hour away to this shelter and explained the cat, explained the health issues. They knew who she was right away, brought her out. I'm just like, yep, that's my cat. So I'm going to pay you guys and I'm going to leave with her, never to return. And yeah, that was an expensive cab ride, let me tell you. I don't know where all y'all are from. Where I come from, cabs are very, very expensive. And for an hour-long cab is bank breaking for someone who just works a normal full-time job at minimum wage. But I went, and I got her, and I brought her home. And let me tell you, this girl seeing a house for the first time, I mean, typical cat in the way of she would jump up on every surface and knock over anything on any surface anywhere. I mean, she was just this destructive. She destroyed everything, but she was also the sweetest animal I'd ever seen in my life. She just wants love and attention from everyone. A stranger will walk into the house. My orange cat and my black cat will run and find shelter, and she will try to climb up their pant legs for love. And she's just so, so sweet. And she's broken out of some of her destructive habits, not all. And I'm glad that I have them. All of them make my life complete and bring me joy. My snake was during the beginning swings of the rescue when it was really starting to pick up traffic, and I was hearing from people who were referenced from people whose names I didn't remember, and a woman had reached out to me saying that her son was going away to college and didn't want his snake anymore, couldn't bring it with him, and she didn't want to take care of it, so could I take it off their hands? And that is how I got my 9.5-foot albino red-tailed boa. And my bird actually came from another exotic rescue that was trying to downsize, and the owner of that rescue had reached out to me. We worked together a lot, and she had asked me if I was okay with, taking him because she just needed more space, so I agreed. So yeah, my exotics are actually the less interesting rescue stories. Neither of them were in immediate danger, but my cat rescue stories are a different story. I hope you guys enjoyed my sketch. I hope you guys enjoyed my story. Sorry about the random little picture off to the side. In this, I didn't record myself drawing her, but I was really proud of her, so I wanted to put her up there too. If you guys have any questions, comments, suggestions, you know where to put them. Like, comment, subscribe, all that jazz. And I will see you guys in the next one.